Alrighty, so for today's math lesson, we're working on Unit 10, Lesson 6, addition equations to represent multiplication. Okay, so we've been working on this entire unit, setting up addition sentences or addition equations, both for our rows and our columns. Okay, it's just showing you that there's a relationship between repeated addition and multiplication. So here, we can multiply 4 by 3 to equal 12. But so right now, all we're focusing on is learning that we can add up each row or each column, repeated addition, to find the sum. Okay, so remember that arrays are an arrangement of objects in rows and columns. Okay, rows go from left to right. And columns go up and down because they hold up our roof. Oops, my roof is a little crooked, but that's okay. Maybe the wind blew it a little bit too hard one day. Okay, so our rows and our columns. All right, so let's look at, here are some pennies. Let's start off with just 4. Okay, when we are counting up objects, we can count them one by one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that was easy because there was only 4. But if we organize them into rows and columns, it's easier to count. So we can skip count 2, 4, skip count rows. So here's 1 row, here's another row, 1 row, 2 rows. Or we can count columns, 1, 2. Okay, you can skip count rows and columns. So 2, 4, or 2 and 4. And it's easy for 4 because it's just 4, right? But if you say you had more than 4, say you had this many, or say you had hundreds of them, you could sit there and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my gosh, I lost count. And then you don't know where to go back. That's why it's best that you organize your objects into rows and columns. So if you can start setting them up by 2s. Maybe start to add more 2s this way. So now you have your objects, or in this case pennies, set up in your rows and your columns. Remember, rows and columns need to always be even. They always need to be an even number. Okay, you cannot have an array with one row or one column uneven. There cannot be any left over, one out of the ordinary. Okay, so everything needs to be in rows and columns. Remember, boys and girls, that a row goes left to right. Left to right. Columns go up and down. Okay, it's going to be very important because when you get to the test, they're going to ask you how many rows there are, how many columns there are. Well, if we are looking at this example, we know that rows go left to right. So here's a row, here's a row, here's a row, and here's a row. How many rows do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. All right. So today, number 1, you're going to draw an array with the given number of rows, columns, or objects, and then you're going to write an equation to show the total number of objects. So it's actually really similar to the activity that we did yesterday. They're going to give us information, and then we need to draw our array and then write an equation based on that problem. All right. So it says to draw 2 rows. So we used orange for rows, and they go left to right. 2 rows. 1, 2. And then they say that we have 4 columns. So I got to draw 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you might be asking, well, how do I figure out what objects there are, and where do I put my objects? Okay, your objects for this kind of array only goes where the orange and the blue meet. So here, there's a spot right here that have orange and blue, so I can put an object right here. There's no blue in this middle part, so I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can see it. All right. There is no blue in this middle part in between here and here, so I'm gonna move on. Here's another one with blue and orange. Here's another spot. Here's another spot. Okay. It doesn't go in between because there's no blue right there blocking it off. All right. So then that's our array. All we need to do now is write our equation. So what do we write? We want to write our repeated addition equation. And we can either do our repeated addition for rows or columns. So if we're going to do rows, we're going to go, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 items in this row, 1, 2, 3, 4 items or objects in this, and then there's 2 right here, 2 right here, 2 right here, and 2 right here. You don't do it all at once. You're either going to choose rows or columns. I'm just going to go ahead and do my rows. So my repeated addition for my rows is 4 plus 4 equals 8. And I'm actually going to go ahead and do my columns too. And I want you to do your columns as well, but you need to do them separate. They don't go on the same line. Say 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 8. And the reason why I want you to do both is to double check your work. Okay, if you did it correctly, you both should be the same. 4 plus 4 is 8. And then 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Got it? Awesome. Now down here, they want us to do 3 columns. Oops. 3 columns. And 15 objects. Okay, well, I can't just stick in any rows. I need to distribute or separate this many objects. The way you're going to do it is you're going to distribute the objects one at a time, okay? So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I know I did it correctly because I ended up in the last one. And they have the same amount of objects in our columns. Okay, I'm going to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to write 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you know you did it correctly if you if you have the same amount in each column. Okay, now all you need to do is write your addition sentence. 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15, and it should match. If you want to challenge yourself, you can do a repeated addition for rows. Okay, it should always be even. There's 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Oh, look at that. I have 15. Okay, you don't need to do both. You don't need to do both, but I would like you to do both because I want you to double check your work. Okay, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 15, 15, and 15. They're the same. All right. I'm going to do structured guided practice with you quickly, and then I want you to get to work, okay? So it says to draw an array with 2 rows and 2 columns. So rows go which way? Good. Left to right. And they want us to do 2 columns. And they go up and down. Okay. Now we need to put our objects. It goes in here and in here. And then one here and one here, because that's the only places where the orange and the blue meet. Okay, now we need to write our addition sentence. Well, there's 2 right here and 2 here, but there's also 2 and 2 here. So we can do 2 plus 2 equals 4, or 2 plus 2 equals 4. And that's easy because it was the same amount of rows and columns. All right, here's a trickier one. 3 rows and 12 objects. So let's put in our rows. 1, 2, 3, and we don't know how many columns there are. But we can put in our objects, 12 objects. So we're not going to go 1, 2, 3 and across here. We're going to put them in 1 in each row. Okay, 1 until we get to 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and then we can just write how many are in each row. 4, 4, and 4. So 4 plus 4 plus 4, and I'm writing that because that's how many 4s. I'm just taking these 4s and putting them down on this line for my addition equation. Equals 12. And if I did that correctly, my number of objects is my total number, my total sum. All right, guys, I know that's a lot of information. Multiplication is a little challenging, but it's not going to be challenging. If you can get a hang of repeated addition for rows and columns, it's not going to be challenging, I promise you. Okay, so please get to work on Final Check for Understanding and Student Practice, all 6 problems. And if you have any questions, remember to look back on this video, or you can always reach out to me. Okay, so you're working in page 75 today. Get going.